How's it going? My name is Elias Kushner, chef here in Portland, New York.
And you mentioned you're a chef.
Yeah.
So you're a chef. So kind of talk about that and explain why you went into that lane for your career in that.
I mean, it kind of started out pretty early when I was about 13 years old, when I had my first job in a restaurant. And I remember saying to myself and to the people around me that I wanted to be a chef. At that restaurant, I did from working the register to cleaning to cooking, everything from scratch, and just learning about that life. And then from there on, I stayed in the food industry and catering. I went to culinary school, and I went to hotels, and then traveled, and then got into the city, and then 25 years later, that's where here I am now. So it's been kind of inspired by my grandmother, by my mother, cooking in the family all the time. Yeah.
Some of your hobbies and interests besides being a chef and cooking?
Well, if you can't tell, bodybuilding has been a huge passion of mine for about 15, 16 years now. And I think that it has really helped to balance out my time in the kitchen, my time eating the food in the kitchen. It's also just keeping a good mindset for a balance of food and life, and kind of just finding something to find discipline with, and something to, so bodybuilding, music, being outdoors, being with friends. I do, besides cooking and work, I also cook on the side and do side jobs, but that's cooking, so it's kind of defeats the purpose of the question. Yeah, it's been food, music, and bodybuilding is the life.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
What's your favorite movie and why?
What's my favorite movie? Well, Josh, it's kind of hard for me to answer that question because I am an avid movie collector. I actually collect VHSs.
Oh, nice.
So I have over 1,000 VHSs in my home currently. I mean, I could say Tommy Boy, but that's a cop-out, I think, because that's an amazing movie. I really like old classics. I grew up watching Gregory Peck films. I grew up watching like silent films, and I grew up without having television in the house too. So movies and food and music were the focuses. So I don't know, man. It's hard to tell a movie right now because there's so many movies coming out right now, and I've probably watched a gazillion of them.
You had $50,000 to make the community a better place. What would you do with that money?
I've been here for about 7 years now. I think that if I had that kind of money here, I think that we should fast track the two-way in Main Street. I don't know how anyone else feels about that. Amp on culture and just like a boost with the culture and outreach into the community. Something with music, something with arts, but we already have that. But to really give it a boost, to make it available for everybody. The arts, the humanities, the beauty and culture of what the history of this town. So kind of like, I don't know, give it a revitalization.
So let's talk more about food. Let's talk about what are some of your favorite dishes to cook or meals to cook, and then what are some that aren't, and what's like the most expensive meal that you've cooked, or people you've cooked for, or something like a cool story or something.
One thing that comes to mind with the money or the expense part, I used to work for a restaurant called Del Poste. It's a 1-star Michelin restaurant, and this is a place where people could spend $400 on a glass of wine.
Oh wow!
Or so I did a party for 17 people. They spent $100,000 in about 4 or 5 hours. I've cooked for the richest man in Japan. I've cooked for Mike Myers, Adam Levine, Jimmy Fallon, Mario Batali, some diplomats from the Emirates. Yeah, but in the end, it's only food, and they are still only just people. It's really what you take from it and how much presence you put on to that experience. So if if you can take away that experience, I think that that's most important. I spent a lot of time and wasted a lot of many hours of my life processing vegetables. I mean, grape tomatoes for one. At that same restaurant, I spent about 3 to 4 hours a couple times a time. I can't get those hours back. Yeah, not gonna happen. But now I cook all kinds of food in all sorts of volumes. Some are actually pretty fun to do, but you gotta just take it day by day and dish by dish and make it your own and have fun with it. So. Yeah.
So do you have any future aspirations, like do you want to open your own restaurant, develop a dish that hasn't been made, or maybe cook something that already exists that maybe you think you can do it in a different way? And then also, what are some other things you have going on the side?
So yes to the first question. I do have ambitions to open a restaurant one day. I've been talking about it for a decade plus. So many people all over the world in my travels about my ambitions and my desires and my dreams to do this one day. Still haven't happened yet, but I think that things will happen organically, and I feel like rushing into it could be a dangerous thing. As far as the dishes or things that I'd like to, I create things all the time, and I like to teach those practices and those techniques all the time, because it's basically just working upon classic techniques, things that are there for a reason, classic knife skills or certain procedures or cooking methods. I kind of work along with the seasons. I work with a farm here locally in Cortland, so Main Street Farms actually. Working with different vegetables and different foods seasonally actually helps to change those things, to work on new dishes, to work on new ways of creating similar dishes but in different ways. So yeah, I try to bring those to the table all the time and then share that with everybody too. I started a online food and discussion recipe platform, if you will. It's called Talk Food with Chef Elias. It's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Reddit, and it's about kind of just showing videos and recipes and discussions about food, about talking about food in a conversational way, expressing things about awareness and philosophy and proper techniques and cooking methods and education. I think that there's so much out there in cooking, in media now, that kind of adds an illusion to what learning of simplicities. Simplicity, as I say, is the hardest thing to achieve. If you make a carrot taste like a carrot, you just need carrot, salt, and water. But what do you do with that water? What do you do with that salt? What do you do with that carrot? You know, it's what you bring to the table. Food with Chef Elias is really about inviting people who are engaged with food or in the industry of food, who care to learn, who care to hear another perspective. I also do private chef work on the side, and I do private catering as well with a friend of mine for larger events. And I do virtual classes, teaching privately or in person. So I kind of like to have my hand in a lot of different pots within the food industry. Talk Food with Chef Elias has really kind of given me a little freedom, creativity, and a little motivation at the same time to stay current, stay present within myself, and to also engage and share with people. So I think that's really important nowadays, and humbling, or as I like to say, it's humility, the ability to be humble. Yeah, it's all encompassing thing. So that's about that.
Well, thank you for taking the time out of your workout, gym session day to answer some of these questions. Hopefully, maybe we can make it to one of your events and see you in action. So
I love that.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.